Well, hello, everybody. My name is Mitch Weisberg, and I'm the host at Mind Shifting with Mitch. And I want to say a special thank you to LMC Media for allowing us to talk to local leaders about the mindsets necessary for success. This is a monthly program, and you can catch us on LMC TV, and you can catch me at mindshiftingwithmitch.com if you want to find out more about mind shifting in general, or you want to join our newsletter. My guest today is Marian White. And Marian, I've known Marian for probably only about 8 months because we're both members of the Rotary, which is a great institution in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, because we support local institutions, including LMC Media and the school system and the at CRC in Mamaroneck. And I thought it would be really interesting because Marian is a financial planner, and so she advises people on how to prepare to be able to survive, I guess, financial catastrophes, how to prepare for retirement, how to prepare for kids going to college or what, or all those things. And Marian is a certified financial planner with Birchfield Associates.
Partners.
Birchfield Partners, pardon me.
No problem.
And I figured probably the best way to start is, Marian, why don't you just tell a little bit about your background, and also what does it mean that you're a financial planner and coach?
Well, I've always been very interested in a lot of things, and I started out and got a master's in art history and discovered that there really wasn't a lot to do there, at least at an opening kind of level. So then I switched and got an MBA, and I just thought that what do I want to know about but how to have a successful life financially. And if I wanted to know about that, other people should, probably would. I started out working in banking in the Chicago area, and then we moved out here to get away from family that wanted us to be helping in an awful lot of ways, it seemed to me. And New York is just such a great place to be financially. In that there are so many jobs. It's a center, I guess, it has been the center of the, maybe not the universe, but of the United States.
The solar system.
Yes. So I got into it, and I've had various versions. There are many kinds of people that call themselves planners. We like to be comprehensive, in that our goal, we work with very busy people, and they want to know that things are under control, but they're very intelligent. So we have to demonstrate to them that we know what we're doing and that things are under control. And it's just been an honor to be building this career. So I think you and I are, in a way, in the same business, because people, to think about the future, there has to be a soundness to their present situation. So people don't tend to start thinking about planning because it really is about future goals. You have to have something concrete. And so it may be purchasing a house. It may be, of course, college is a big thing since it's so very expensive now, retiring. And the interesting thing is we work with people and get them organized, and that's about 50% of what happens. And the rest is living through whatever the rest of their life with them, because it's always changing. We'll get a call and say, oops, we have to move, or our son wants to go to graduate school now, or things like that.
So I'm sorry, I just always thought that all you had to do was invest in cryptocurrency or start a tech firm and you're going to be a billionaire. It's not that way. Did I have a misapprehension about this?
Well, the headlines make it seem that way. It's wonderful, but ordinary people just have to plug along. And I mean, if you look at the statistics of success, I mean, well, failure is a better statistic, and that's got to be 99%.
Wow.
Those. So,
But that's not what makes the news, or that's not what
Right.
appears in our social media. What
Which
what
is the
appears
problem.
right, right. And that actually plays into some of the cognitive biases that we have and the media has, which is what gets noticed is what's different, and what's different is the 0.1% that actually do make it, and so that gets our attention. But the fact of the matter is, there's still the 99 or 99 and 44/100% of the ones that don't make it, and we don't see those, but that's where we're all more likely to be. And then you also mentioned, as you were talking, that you started off as an art history major.
yes.
Did you realize during college or after college that you, for your financial well-being, you needed to make an adjustment?
Well, I guess I thought that college, and my parents were very nice, that it was a place to learn. So between economics or astronomy, I chose to be an astronomy major because I thought that would be a great thing to learn. But I wasn't so great at all the physics and stuff. But it's just, it's such an encompassing thing. And I guess I'm a people person like you're a people person. And it brings one into a person's life. And some people have told me I know their lives better than they do, their financial lives,
Yep.
because I know more about it than they know about their lives. And it's just so rewarding to help people.
So at that age, you're in your early 20s, and just kind of relating that to people in general, at different ages, people naturally have different concerns, and those concerns affect their mindsets and their finances. If we could put ourselves in the position, put on the shoes of somebody in their 20s, first of all, what are they likely thinking about? And then second of all, what should they be thinking about if they want to lead a financially secure life?
Well, in their 20s and maybe into your 30s now, you're trying to figure out, as I was, what am I going to do? So I'm certainly not thinking about the future. The people who are in their 20s, maybe they have a Roth IRA or something. That's really because their parents, probably we advise parents to set up a Roth IRA if a child has some earned income, because you can do that. And so it's the habits from the parents that are really reflected. But most people in their 20s aren't that looking forward and thinking about long-term that way.
And I would guess that most people in their 20s, maybe even 90% of people in their 20s, don't have parents or don't have the means, especially in the early years, to set up things like Roth IRAs, that they're starting off with basically nothing. They may be even living in their parents' houses
Right.
for longer and postponing decisions like starting a family, not being able to afford to get their own place to live, things like that. What are the mistakes that you see people making, and then how do they recognize and change from those mistakes?
Well, as I said, we don't see 20-year-olds and even 30-year-olds. It's really maybe when you get to be like 35 into your 40s and you start having an income where you might have some excess, you're in a career that you like, you're starting to think about the future. So that's quite a ways off.
Yep, yep. So the people in their 20s and probably even the early 30s, they're mostly thinking about how to adjust their lives and get to the point where their head is above water. And then once they're in their mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, then they're starting to think about things like mortgages, houses, preparing for their kids' education and retirement. What are some of the things, let's say that they don't have a lot of excess income. Now, and they may not have a lot of excess income because they're spending rather than
Right.
the fact that that they could have a lot of excess income. But let's just start with maybe some of the mindsets or mistakes that people could be having in their mid-30s or early 40s, where you would love to just hit them over the side of the head and say, no, don't stop doing that. Do this.
We don't hit our clients over the side of their heads because they're the boss. It's their
Right.
money. You know, we're advising them, but it's their money. Well, what we like to do is really to create habits so that they don't have to think. If you have to think about every dollar that you're looking at and where should it go, it's just going to drive you nuts. So we like to, well, let me just step back for a second. The first thing everyone has to do is create an emergency reserve because stuff happens. And so it should be at least 6 weeks worth of pay just right available in, the bank. And we like to have 6 months be available because young people, they may suddenly have a job in Chicago and they need the money to get to Chicago. Stuff happens. So you don't want to be, because we know stuff happens, let's plan for it and give you buffers. I guess we're about a lot of buffers.
Right. So when I'm thinking of 6 weeks, I'm thinking that's a little bit more than 10% of a year. So the median family in the U.S. is earning, I think, roughly $80,000 a year. And so
Well, that's gross, probably.
that's probably gross.
Right.
Oh, okay. So net might be $60,000 a year.
Well, 65.
65.
Yeah.
And so 10% of that would be 6,500. So so the first thing is to have a reserve fund
In a savings account that you don't touch. And hopefully you continue because $6,500 will take care of something, but it's not that much of a buffer.
Okay, I'm earning my $80,000 a year. I'm sorry, I don't have $6,000, $7,000 to put in a savings account.
Well,
So
right,
what do
you
I
have
do?
to do it a bit at a time, and so the worst thing we ask our clients to do, and you could ask every single one if it's the worst, is looking at where their money goes. And, if you're buying Starbucks, and that's what can be $7 to $10, it's about good habits. and it's their choice. And if they don't want to, you can't work with people that aren't motivated, and we can't work with people that aren't motivated.
And it's interesting, too, because sometimes as an individual, I can't do that for myself. I can't think, okay, I need a $7,000 emergency fund. That means I need to put away, I'm just going to arbitrarily say $100 a week,
Right.
and then in a year and a half I'll have it. It's hard for me to do that myself. It's a lot easier if I have a coach who's doing that. So it sounds like it would be valuable for each person to have somebody that they could trust, whether it's a financial coach, a financial advisor, a family advisor, a friend, who you could sit down with, a spouse who you could sit down with and say,
Well, a spouse is a problem with money. There's so many layers of issues. I mean, you need to be in agreement, but you don't want to have someone be the policeman, because that's very
I
bad
don't know. I've
for a
been married for
relationship.
40 years, and I don't think I've ever disagreed with my wife. It's just, she says something, and I just say, how
Yes,
high?
dear.
Right. Yes, dear. All kidding aside, yes. I can see this is not something that I would just want to have with my wife. It would be very helpful to have a neutral party
Right.
who was coaching us and saying, And so asking questions such as, I guess, what are the things that are most important to you? And then where are the things that you're putting your money towards? And then where's the mismatch between what you're spending your money on and what's really important? And
But
then,
where are you willing to put the priority that the money for this actually you think should go elsewhere? So you're sacrificing something.
you're
So
always right.
what's fun about that?
You're always making trade-offs.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's part of life, right?
Yes.
Even kids. I was going to say the great thing about being a kid is you don't have to deal with the trade-offs, but of course, kids have to deal with trade-offs all the time, also.
Right.
So it's then having somebody who can walk you through the priorities, and then as you brought up earlier, it's setting this up so that so that it is automatic, so you don't have to think about it each week, right?
Yes, that's the best thing that we do with our clients is tell them, okay, you want to buy a house in such and such a time period. The down payment looks like it would be this. Every month you need to set aside X number of dollars for that goal. You want to send kids to college. Every month you need to set aside X dollars for that goal. Hopefully they're working at a place where there's a retirement plan and maybe there's some matching, but certainly maximizing when possible the what you can put away pre-tax, lowers your taxes, which is good, and gives money time to grow. And what's wonderful if you get started early is the compounding of money. So there's the rule of 72. So
Wait a minute, I'm 72, so I just have to follow a rule, and I'm okay?
well, it's a little late because it's the long-term compounding. No, but you're
I can't compound every day?
You'll be wonderful at 100.
Okay.
But it's you take the return you're going to get on, you expect to get on your money. So let's say that's 10%, and you divide 72 by that, so that's a little more than 7 years. So compounded growth, which means the first year it's $100, then the next year it's 110, and then the growth, that 10% also gets 10%, so
Right.
that it's growing and growing. And it's time in the market for investments, which leads to success.
And you see that compounding, it's like this curve. It's going like this. So you start off, and it's almost like a hockey stick, right?
Right.
It's flat, and then and then very rapidly it starts going up. But if you started it in your 30s, then it starts going up really fast in your late 40s or 50s. That's when you start seeing real, that dollar returns. But if you don't start it in your 30s or 40s, you don't get to that point. Like if I started it right now, theoretically,
You would.
in 20 years.
Compounding is
Right.
well, but you're supposed to. We plan for our clients to live to be 100. So you still need some money from 90 to 100.
So when you talk to people and you start going over what are your values, what are the things that are really important to you? So what are let's say the 4 or 5 things that surface from those people? What do they generally say?
Well, I mean, they're the very concrete things like a special vacation, a house, college, retirement, and then there are the things that we tell them that they need to do that people aren't really aware of, other than the emergency reserve. Do they have the proper legal documents? Do they have, if people are depending on someone's income for a living, do they have the insurances that they need to, in case that income is interrupted or stopped? So there's the defense stuff that you have to provide for. And then you go into the looking forward and what you want to have.
And then you go into where they're spending the money. Where are the typical places where they find where they're spending money, and later on they're willing to say, okay, you know something, I don't need to spend money here because it doesn't align with my values. What are some of those areas where people find where they can reroute the money to things that are more important to them?
Well, we don't get into that, really. I mean,
Okay.
it's up to them.
Okay.
You know, if they want something and we're saying they need to set aside, well, you know, $400 a month to meet their goals, if they care, we can't help people that
Right.
don't care. So if they care, they're going to find the money because they're going to have to live with it.
So then it comes all the way back to you encourage them to get in touch with what they really want. And the motivation is that once they understand what they really want, things tend to fall into place, and they're willing to come up with the things that, oh yeah, I guess I don't need to, I don't know, get a new car every 2 years. I can get a new car every 5 years. The car is fine. Or I don't need to do this, or I don't need to do that, because I can reroute the money to things that are much more important to me.
Right. So then you go along and they have their guidelines, and we meet regularly and we review the investments, among other things. And of course, markets don't just go up, they go down. But long term, it's again time in the market that matters. And then wham, someone suddenly decides that he wants to move. Well,
Right.
a neighborhood's changing and he doesn't like it. And so, or someone, I mean, is going to change careers, and that changes the whole structure. So we're just as important when these things come up, because life is not just a straight line that you just chart at 35 or 40 and there it goes.
And you found a really phenomenal chart from Vanguard, right?
Yes.
And we'll put that chart up on the video so people can take a look at it as we're talking about it. But maybe you could first talk about the process-oriented changes that people could make, and then we'll move over to the other side. But so, what are those process-oriented behaviors that people can make? And maybe just pick out a few of these that you'd like that you could elaborate on.
Well, the kind of work we do, which is comprehensive, has it's helping people with investments. And in helping people with investments, you need to know how much risk they can handle, because, you know, I was doing this in 2008, and the market was down like 30 or 40%. Older people were nervous. I would call the middle-aged people who were working and knew they'd be working for a long time and just didn't bother them at all. But you have to understand people's risk level, because the worst thing is to have to get out of the market, and then you never know when the market's going up
Right.
again. So, and another way, having an emergency reserve, or when you have retirees, we have 5 years worth of money not in the market, so that they can weather money that they would need to live on, in case the market falls drastically, and we don't want to pull. The worst thing is to take money out of a down market.
Right.
So we're trying to avoid that. Then just with investments, there's tax planning, because investments have a lot of different kinds of taxes.
And there's an item here like emotional support, and I'm thinking, wow, that's that's not something you often think about in terms of financial planning and coaching, but instilling the confidence, understanding your aspirations, and being responsive. What's the role of a coach in doing that?
Well, as I said, we get to know them financially as well or better than they know themselves. And when we've gone through good and bad times, otherwise they just the big thing that the Vanguard study said was people were looking for peace of mind. And
Yep.
to us, peace of mind means that we're accountable to them. We meet with them twice a year and go over everything we've done. We're available if they ever want to call us. We're there. But that they understand what we're doing and they see the results. And Vanguard found that peace of mind meant different things to different people. But to us, it's knowing that we're on the lookout. Like there were changes in what people can put away in 401ks. And we were alerting clients with 401ks that now they can put away more beginning in 2026. And, just they're too busy to be aware of that, but it's part of helping them be successful.
And I'm going to go back to something that kind of resonated with me that you said that when you retire, you really should be able to have about 5 years worth of money, for all intents and purposes, in cash.
Well, no, it shouldn't be cash, but it should not be in the market, in the equity market that's very volatile. Now, it should be shorter-term bonds because that also has volatility.
Like 60-day bonds, 30-day bonds, 90-day bonds. Those.
Well, you have to look around.
Okay.
And should you be in municipal bonds? Is that right for your tax level? So,
So liquid. The term isn't cash.
Yes, it's
to
liquid.
have about 5
yes,
years.
I'm sorry. No, cash.
Right. I as a non-financial person.
Well, no, I should be more precise. I'm sorry.
So no, it's my fault because I gravitated to the word cash, but it's basically liquid things. So you could quickly withdraw them, and you don't have to worry about the market being down at the time you withdraw them. So if you find out that your spending is, let's say, you imagine, let's say that you're 45 years old, and you imagine I'm going to retire sometime between, 68 and 75, sometime in that time frame. At that point, I want to have 5 years, be able to put aside 5 years in liquidity. I'm looking, and I'm probably spending.
Okay, but that's not all of your portfolio.
Right.
You still have a whole long-term portfolio.
Exactly. But I'm planning that at some point,
Right.
I'm gonna want to be able to afford to have 5 years in liquid assets.
Right.
And and I guess where I'm thinking is like, so I would calculate that okay, so if I'm spending roughly $60,000 a year now, or whatever that is, 5 years would be $300,000. So you take what your spending is, you multiply it by 5 years, but then you also probably have to subtract your Social Security from that. So you're probably earning.
That's just, sorry, but that's going down a rabbit hole.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So then how would you come up with the number?
Calculate with your expenses and your estimated savings,
Right.
how much you need to retire when you want to retire and have it last to age 100.
Okay.
So, but then the assumption is now while you're working, you don't have to have such a high figure because as you have income coming in and things like that. But as we transition people into retirement, we start about 10 years ahead because you do need to dial back the risk level. The equity equals volatility.
Well, real estate would be even more, right? Volatility.
Well, especially because it's illiquid, so that's there are tradable forms of real estate, but yeah.
So in your 40s is where you start planning on how you're going to have enough assets. First of all, to take you from 70 to 100, and second of all, to be able to put about 5 years of it into things that are very liquid, which means that they're generally not earning a particularly high return.
Yeah, but we don't worry about that at that point. Let's get them going. Every 6 months, we see how the market's doing. Ups and downs, and so it's like checking a pulse.
Yep.
But we don't really know what the thing's going to look like, but we know that if you have a certain amount of money when you retire, you should be successful.
And it sounds to me then one of the big things that you're doing is you're taking people generally in their mid-30s and older and helping them plan so that they can have the security and they can really concentrate on living their lives and not the worry about what's going to happen if this happens or how am I going to do that. That's pretty much taken care of and it's set up. That's really what you're doing.
Well, and a client told us, we told him as soon as he had kids, he had to open 529 plans and put this much in. Then, you know, the kids grow up and they're going to college. And they told us how they were at a meeting of new parents, and all the parents were saying, well, how are you getting your loan? And, you know, to pay for college. And they just looked at each other because they didn't need to take loans.
Wow.
Because they had planned for this since the children were born. And so it's telling them, it's quantifying for them. I mean, these all numbers. I guess that's what we do is we quantify.
Yep.
So that things become manageable.
So, Marian, you're with Birchfield Partners. How, if people said, you know something, what you said really resonated with me and I could use some help, I could use some coaching to help me get that peace of mind, how would people get in touch with you?
Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. I guess the best thing would be to White at birchfieldllc.com is my email. And of course, very happy to be helpful. But like with you, people need to be motivated. We're not babysitters. We want to get involved with your life and help you get on a track to be successful, but we're not going to go through your budget with you line by line. You're a mature adult. You have some responsibilities here.
So it's a partnership that you set up with them, is that you help coach them to have the right mindsets, you coach them on determining what their important values are and understanding the life events that take place where you need to have financial security and come up with some amount that seems to meet those. And then really they have to be the adults in the room at that point and say, okay, now I know what's really important to me. Here, you know,
But then we live with them
Yep.
by meeting once or twice a year and staying in touch, showing what's happened, hearing what's happened to them, and inevitably something changes.
That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I just want to give you as a gift for being a guest here is I'll just show this is my new book, which came out just about 2 months ago.
Oh, no, I'm so interested in your field. Thank you.
A copy of a conflict and collaboration book, Mind Shifting Conflict and Collaboration. And
I really appreciate this. I need help here.
Well, we all have conflicts, and you know, just in the book and in the courses and my newsletter, you know, it's not like we should be avoiding conflict because a lot of conflicts actually lead to better results than if we didn't have the conflict. It's about understanding that a conflict can lead to better results if we approach it in a way that we're working with another person to accomplish something rather than it's me versus you. It's really me and you to do this. And that's really what, you know, the basis of the book, the Conflict and Collaboration book.
Well, I've had a long marriage, but I can certainly,
Right.
We have rough edges.
Well, there's a lot of
rough edge information
there's
here.
a lot of excerpts in that book about personal events, and many of the events are between my wife and me, or my kids and me, or my business partners and me. And so you'll see both my successes and my many, many failures in conflict and collaboration as well.
Well, thank you so much. I was just honored to be with you and really respect your work and look forward I will check out volume 3 and look forward to volume 4.
Right. Actually, so the funny thing there is, yes, this is volume 3. The first book was volume 1, but in the last 2 years in teaching the 3 courses, this is the course where people were like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I'm so upset about all these conflicts, and everything seems to be a fight, and I'm ready to give up, and I'm getting angry at people." And then it's like, "Oh my gosh, I never realized that when I say things this way, it triggers other people. So that's why these things are always fights." Or, "Oh my gosh, now I realize that when people say or do these things, it triggers me, but I don't have to react that way." And so this course had such an impact on people, I decided that I would skip volume 2 and go right into volume 3. So volume 1 is out, which is the Stop Your Brain from Sabotaging Your Happiness and Success. Volume 3 is out, which is Conflict and Collaboration. And volume 2 will be out sometime in the next year and a half, which is on resilience.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Why be ordinary?
Why be ordinary?
1, 3, 2
Yep.
makes a lot of sense.
So, right. Well, doesn't make sense, but it's
It's life.
It's life. It's life. So I want to thank everybody who's been watching, and I want to especially thank LMC Media for allowing us this forum to talk to people in the Larchmont and Mamaroneck area who are doing great things and really focus on the mindsets behind what they're doing. If you'd be interested in being a guest on the show, contact me at MindshiftingWithMitch.com. Or let me know what you like or what you dislike about the show and how we can improve it. With that, welcome to 2026, everybody. Thank you for watching, and see you next month.